A very good afternoon to you. Many thanks for joining us on the KTN NewsDesk on this 22nd day of August 2016. My name is Akisa Wandera. We have a lot lined up for you, but first, let's take a look at the highlights.
Hi, how are you doing?
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry and President Uhuru Kenyatta hold bilateral talks. Kenya marks the 38th year since founding President Jomo Kenyatta passed on. And opposition chief Raila Odinga wishes retired President Mwai Kibaki a quick recovery. Many thanks for staying with us. We start off with a high-profile visit in the country now. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry this morning held bilateral talks with President Uhuru Kenyatta on his latest visit to the country. The discussions at State House are understood to have centered on regional security and stability. Kerry arrived last night and is also due to hold talks with East African foreign ministers on ways to stop neighboring South Sudan from sliding back into civil war. Kerry, who arrived last night at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, was received by Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed. Kerry and the African foreign ministers also plan to discuss the situation in Somalia, which is looking towards upcoming parliamentary and presidential elections to help bring stability.
Good to see you. Welcome. And you? You're going to follow Great stuff. Yep.
Well, it's good to see you. I know. Wonderful. Yeah, we're excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
As they start to get more sun. It's a beautiful morning.
Well, our senior political reporter Chris Tairu has been closely following up this high-profile visit for us and now joins us live from the Villa Rosa Kempinski for more updates on that visit by the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry. Good afternoon, Chris. Many thanks for joining us on NewsDesk. The U.S. Secretary of State has already held bilateral talks with the President. What else can you tell us is part of his program today?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Akisa, and dear viewers. As you correctly put it, John Kerry, the U.S. Secretary of State, first held bilateral talks with the President Uhuru Kenyatta State House, Nairobi, and currently he's at Villa Rosa Kempinski, where he's meeting regional ministers for foreign affairs, just to keep on try to look on the ways that they can ensure that South Sudan is calm and the leadership there is strong. And of course, they will also be discussing issues to do with Somalia. Remember that Somalia has been troubled for a long time, and Kenya has played a major role in trying to bring peace there. Remember that our Kenya Defense Forces are still there, who joined the AMISOM, and of course that will also take part in that discussion. And also they will also be discussing issues to do with the repatriation of refugees, which started last year, and just to ensure that those who have been repatriated to Somalia, they are safe, and of course do with health issues, of course, when they will be back to Somalia. And back to the South Sudan, remember that Salva Kiir has actually indicated that the U.S. has not been giving them that much support that they need. So, of course, this visit is timely, so to speak. Akisa.
Is this visit timely, Chris? Why come now? And of course, with issues like South Sudan coming on the table and Somalia, what does this mean for Kenya and the region at large?
Of course, Kenya has played a big role in trying to bring peace in South Sudan and, of course, in Somalia. And his visit is timely since the issues that erupted in South Sudan, so to speak, some few months ago, where we saw the former Vice President Riek Machar has already sought some asylum in Congo, as we, so to speak, and the visit by John Kerry is timely, and there's an interview that was done by our very own Jeff Koinange, and in that interview we saw Salva Kiir really stating that they've not had that much support from the US, and his visit, of course, so to speak, it will be timely since all the issues that is right now being discussed by the regional leaders. Of course, they'll bring on how ways that they can be used to ensure that South Sudan is peaceful, and of course the people who had already fled, they're back there. Remember, Kenya had also businessmen who are there, and they've lost a lot in terms of property, and so this visit is timely, and we'll be waiting for him to address the media at around 1:45, and we'll hear what he has to speak.
All right,
Akisa.
thank you very much, Chris. Of course, 1:45 is the hour. We'll be coming to Villarosa Kempinski to just hear what will be said there by the U.S. Secretary of State. Chris Tairu is our senior political reporter, and will definitely be giving us more information about that high-profile visit. But let's now cross over to the coast, where judges are holding a conference in Mombasa, the first since the retirement of Chief Justice Willy Mutunga. The theme of the annual conference is enhancing public confidence in the judiciary. Attorney General Githu Muigai addressed the conference a moment ago, and our reporter John Juma now joins us live from Mombasa with details on the judges' annual conference. Many thanks for joining us on NewsDesk, John Juma, and with the theme being enhancing public confidence in the judiciary. From the addresses that have been made, for example, from the Attorney General, how are they rating the public confidence in the judiciary?
Thank you, Akisa. That's a very technical question that how I wish I would have put it forward to the convener of this conference, which is the Judiciary Training Institute. But according to the pronouncements in the conference is that there is a feeling that that confidence has gone down. They're citing areas, for instance, Attorney General Professor Githu Muigai, not Githu Muigai, but the President of the Court of Appeal, saying that a situation where one person or a group of people can convince the public that this matter cannot be determined well in a court of law, and then they decide to, maybe through protests and anarchical ways, then it means that public confidence in judiciary is at risk, and they need to do something to ensure that that confidence is restored. Githu Muigai, the Attorney General, says that the moment there is no independence in judiciary, then the country and every person, including the judges themselves, then they are not safe. And for us to have strong confidence, then courts or judiciary must be independent, they must be accountable, and they must do everything in a way that pleases a good number, a good percentage, if not all, in the country. Now, back to this conference, there are various topics that have been lined up for discussion in the next 5 days that they will be here. Some of these topics touch on areas that they must always determine in courts. For instance, the question of a life imprisonment, whether we should be having a death penalty or not, and whether life imprisonment means that you are in prison till the last day you die. a very important question that they'll be having a conversation over and looking at other countries, what it means, whether they should have a certain limit or a number of years for one to serve in jail. They'll also be touching on matters to do with electoral and considering how prepared is the judiciary as the country moves into next year, where we'll be having the next general election. The question of Supreme Court without Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice, and they're saying that the manner in which the new Chief Justice and the Deputy Chief Justice will be conducted will speak volumes as far as judiciary, public perception on judiciary is concerned. Akisa, these are just some of the matters that will be discussed in the 5 days conference by the judges of High Court Appeal and Supreme Court here in Mombasa.
All right, thank you very much, John Juma, for breaking that down for us. The 5-day annual conference for the judges is something that we'll definitely continue to keep you up to date on, as John Juma says. John Juma is joining us from Mombasa. Let's now move on. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has wished retired President Mwai Kibaki a quick recovery. The former president is in a South African hospital after he was taken ill last Saturday and admitted to the current hospital from where he was flown to South Africa. Raila worked with Kibaki in the Grand Coalition government, and in his message, Raila prayed for Kibaki's recovery, saying the country still needed him. All right, and moving on, the first ever community-based conservancy and elephant orphanage, which is one of its kind in Kenya and Africa, has been opened in Samburu County. Rateti Elephant Orphanage officially opened on Saturday in Sarara area of Samburu East, about 220 kilometers from Maralal town. The conservancy has been put in place to reduce cases of human-wildlife conflict in the area, as the community hosts within its environs a number of wildlife ranging from elephants, lions, leopards, hyenas and zebras. The ceremony was presided over by Samburu County Governor Moses Lonekulkar and attended by Kenya Wildlife Service officials and Northern Rangelands Trust and organizations that deals with wildlife conservation.
We are partnering as Samburu County with the NRT to make sure that we sustain the elephants that are abandoned at the young age. We know bulk of the investment is by NRT, and going forward, we are making commitment as a county government to make investments to make sure that we promote this very unique investment in terms of conservation.
So there are so many calves here in northern Kenya, and because this community has really embraced conservation, they came forward and set a piece of land, community land aside, to make home for these baby elephants. And in working closely with the Kenya Wildlife Service, this is now the only community-owned and community-run elephant orphanage in Kenya, in Africa, and in the globe. It's owned by the community, it's run by the community.
Some good news there from Samburu. At this point, we'll take a short commercial break. Do not go too far. Coming back, we'll be taking a look at how the memorial for the founding father, Jomo Kenyatta, went down today in Parliament, of course, and the Holy Family Basilica. Do not go too far. Welcome back. You are watching KTN NewsDesk. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta is currently leading the nation in ceremonies marking 38 years since the death of Kenya's founding president and his father, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. The president in the morning attended a ceremony of the laying of wreaths at Mzee Kenyatta's mausoleum at Parliament Buildings, and thereafter attended a memorial service at the Holy Family Basilica. Mzee Kenyatta died on on this date in 1978 in Mombasa of natural causes attributed to old age. Although the ceremony has religiously been observed every year by a sitting president since his death, Uhuru broke this tradition when he skipped the ceremony during his first year in office as president in 2013 when he was on official visit to China, and the proceedings are currently ongoing at the Holy Family Basilica, where the president is still there. Very many leaders in government and the opposition will just cross over to the Holy Family Basilica and see how this Holy Mass is being celebrated in remembrance of Kenya's first president and founding father, and of course the father of the current president, President Uhuru Kenyatta. Let's cross over to the Holy Family Basilica here in Nairobi. All right, the proceedings there, or the Holy Mass at the Holy Family Basilica. That's what we've been showing you. Of course, it's something we will continue to bring you. President Uhuru Kenyatta there with First Lady Margaret Kenyatta. You can see some leaders as well. Nairobi County Governor Evans Kidero. There's a Tourism Cabinet Secretary there, Najib Balala. The Cabinet Secretaries we have, Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Nkaiseri there as well. Just among the dignitaries who've attended this, there's General Samson Watete as well. There goes the First Lady, Mama Ngina Kenyatta, receiving the Holy Communion as we commemorate 38 years since the founding father died. Holy Family Basilica is where most of the leadership in the country are currently gathered, commemorating 38 years since the first president and the founding father of the country, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, died of natural causes. A day like this, 38 years, that is in 1978, is when he was discovered dead in a state house. And today, leaders have gathered at the Holy Family Basilica for a Holy Mass to commemorate the death of the father of the current president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta. And these are proceedings that we are bringing you live from the Holy Family Basilica. But as the country marks 38 years since the founding president Jomo Kenyatta died, we now bring you a documentary focusing on how some of those who worked closely with him remember him. This is courtesy of the PSCU.
Leadership has not been to darkness and death, but to light and prosperity. Katiba ya Afrika yetu hii ya Kenya ni katiba ya kuendesha kazi yetu ya serikali ikiwa na madaraka.
I was happy to have the chance of working with Mzee Jomo Kenyatta and with the First Lady, Mama Ngina Kenyatta, and also with their families. I came to know them well, and more or less because I was also staying at State House. That's how I came to know and to work with them very closely.
It was a great privilege to work for Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. More importantly, it is because he interviewed me himself for the job. I found him a very patient person. Generally, he was a very disciplined individual. He was very particular about timekeeping, and we all respected him for that.
He was very concerned always with his family. He loved his family. He used to come at the office from 9 onwards, and by 3, 4, he is gone. When the children come back from school, we will bring them over to him, and he will have time to meet them. During their birthdays, also, he will wait and be with them. And at the same time, over the weekend, they will go to Gatundu and join him.
People would have thought that Mzee was very serious, but there were soft moments with Mzee Kenyatta. During our trips down at the coast, we started having these traditional dancing in the evenings. And you know, those are the times when Mzee was completely relaxed, and you could see that he was comfortable.
My leadership has not been to dark, but to prosperity. All 300 schools paid and controlled, financed by my people. And that was not putting my people or leading my people to darkness and death.
Harambe! Na mashamba yetu harambe! Na mifugo yetu harambe! Na serikali yetu tukufu harambe!
I feel his Harambee spirit meant well, that people work together. Wherever you come from or whatever you are doing, let's help one another. And at the same time, he loved people to try, not to wait. He never liked giving things handout. No, he didn't believe. He believed in people earning their own living. You work hard for whatever you have.
Many people might have misunderstood the president. Sometimes you hear these stories that he used to cane people. No. In fact, many times is when he had his rungu with him, he'll say, well, you know, he lifted just to, right? But he never struck anybody with his rungu. So he was very, very understanding. Most people really didn't know the inside of Mzee because in public, he was the president and he carried himself with a dignity. Occasionally, of course, in public barazas, he would say some hard things, but generally he behaved as a president and really addressed the issues which faced the nation. So people could see him as this very serious person, and that's why I'm saying even the ministers, when they came to him, they were a bit cautious. They didn't quite know what to say. There are those who are very close to him, and they really told him what they thought.
We must show the world that some of them have been wrong, that some of them have misunderstood us, and it's only by our action they will know that we mean business.
And when now Mzee was to be the president, they went to Jamhuri Park. That's where the ceremony was performed. But I must say, even if that ceremony was that important, people were referring more to the Uhuru one. Because the Uhuru one, you know, seeing the flag coming down, the breeze coming down, and the Kenya one going up, and it was raining, people didn't care less, and the fireworks, and the handing over of by the Queen to the President, to the Prime Minister. It was so exciting. The day he died, he was only with his family, and maybe the doctors and nurses who were there. The way people were lining up to come and see him, lying there at State House, you could see that they knew him, they loved him, they miss him, they were missing him. But they realized now it has happened.
I think Mzee's legacy was to see Kenyans working together, because I think he believed that if we are divided, we would not progress. So I think that was his real desire. And I can see, by and large, we are united as a nation. We do have these differences, but I wouldn't say they are a major hindrance to our development. He wanted to see a Kenya where all of us look at ourselves as Kenyans, not as a Taita, Kikuyu, Luo, or whatever. So we are praying that all of us, as we grow up, we will start thinking ourselves as Kenyans.
Remembering Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, that wraps it up for us on KTN NewsDesk. Many thanks for joining us. Up next, the sports team is bringing you Gold Rush a day after the Olympics. Many thanks for joining us. My name is Akisa Wandera. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Keep it KTN News.